So we're here today and we're going to learn the next step of Google Classroom. In session 1, we talked about how to create a class, how to add students, and how to use that materials post. The materials post is helpful for sharing resources, and it's also really helpful for starting a discussion where students can just post those class comments. So I'm hoping that you got a chance to try that out, that you've used it a little bit, and that you'll continue using it. Okay, it's a great place to maybe make a parking lot of questions for week 1. In Google Classroom, make a materials post, post your questions for week 1 here. If you see a question from someone that you can answer, reply and answer and help each other out to help keep those questions in one place. It's also a good academic place to watch this video, just post a comment. It's not a big, you don't need something turned in, just have a discussion, okay? If you want more information about that, in the mission control site, those resources are posted. The Google Slides from the training are posted, and also the video, okay? Today, I've got a pretty specific goal for today. I just want us to look at the question post. So the question post, if you haven't used it before, we're gonna start with not only how to create it, but why you would want to. Why would you want to use a question post? So our why. I want you to think of a task that you have students do that would take you a long time if you graded every question. I'm thinking about like a worksheet with maybe 5 or 6 different short answers that they respond to, or math work, something that would take a long time if you graded every question. I want you to think of a question you want everyone to respond to privately. And if you were in the classroom, maybe they would write it on a piece of paper and turn it in, but that's not really something that's really feasible right now. You could have them email you, but that's 20 to 30 emails. That would be overwhelming. Think of that question that you want to have a discussion with students privately. I want you to think about the daily conversations you used to have with students in those little pocket moments in between. You would just ask, hey, how's this going? How are you feeling about this? And you wish you could talk to everyone in the class about it, but really, you know, you only get a chance to target the really, the kids that really need your extra attention. But it'd be nice to be able to have those conversations with every student, okay? I want you to think about how you used composition books as journals. Daily, just a quick written response to get them some writing fluency, some feedback. Think about those kinds of things. And then I want you to think about how long it would take you if you carried all those journals home or all those pages home, wrote a response to every student to respond to their thinking. And then for me, I would hope they could read my writing, because when I write fast, it gets pretty messy that sometimes only I can read it. So I want you to think of those kinds of things. That's where a question post is really going to help you out. In fact, it's even something that when we're back all in the same spot, you might not use some of these things that you used to do. You might find that the question post is actually more efficient and you like it better. Okay, so the benefits of a question post. Students submit their responses privately. So you can see everyone's answer, but only the teacher sees it unless you check a box that they can see their classmates' answers. So sometimes that's appropriate, but you don't have to have that on. Okay. It's easy to continue a conversation. Students submit their answer and you can add a private comment and they can reply back. It's great for connecting. It's great for formative feedback. I also was thinking, if I had a question post of like, write a 5-word sentence. It needs to have a subject and a predicate. And then when I reply to it, I say your noun is frog. Add 2 adjectives to your sentence. And then they reply with that. And then I reply and say, your verb is this. Add an adverb to your sentence. And then they reply. And then it's add a prepositional phrase. You can really work little by little at that kind of fluency through that conversation. Okay, that's really easy in a question post. A question post doesn't create a Google Doc. If you imagine, let's use the journal example. Every day I have a journal prompt and I want my students to write in a journal. Okay, right now, instead, I'm going to have a journal assignment and I'm going to have them create a Google Doc every day. That A means you need to flip through everyone's Google Doc And it means by the end of 9 weeks, they're going to have 45 Google Docs in their drive of journal responses. And that's really not efficient. The question post doesn't create anything, it just saves their response in Classroom. So there are no files created, which keeps things a little cleaner. Okay? Students need experience responding with depth in a text box. Okay? Understanding, and I know that I've talked about this for a while, thinking about state testing that thankfully we're not thinking about right now, but I'll go ahead and bring it up. When it's the question and they have to write in that little box and they write like 5 words and you're like, come on, there was so much more you had to say about that, but you don't remember. You can type a lengthy response in a text box. Conditioning our students to be able to clearly respond in a text box is a skill, because outside of school, they know it is texting on a phone, right? So having an academic use for a text box response is good for kids. Okay, and then you can score and respond. Everything you need is right on the Google Classroom screen, which we'll see later. So there are a lot of reasons that the question post is good for conversation. It's really clean, it's easy to organize, and it's easy to see. So be thinking of those times when you just need a written response from students, or multiple choice is also an option. We're going to focus mostly on the short answer, but we'll see later how the multiple choice can work. Okay, so take a look in the Classroom tab. So this would be in Google Classroom. I can see what class I'm in. I can see that I'm in the classwork tab, and then to create something new, of course, I'm going to go to create. I'm going to see this menu, and then I'm going to choose question. Okay, so this is how you're going to create your question prompt. On the left side, this is very similar to the materials post. You've got your short title, and then you're going to add in your instructions. Okay, what are some ideas for how you could use the question post? How does this fit into your distance learning plan? Submit a few ideas, and then I let people know. Others will be able to see your response after you submit it. Or I might say, if it was a particularly personal prompt, your response is private. No one will see it besides me. Okay, because that's information I would want to know, right, when I were responding. So I don't give that information always, but if it's something, don't share something particularly vulnerable unless you really want everyone else to see it, which is fine, but be aware others will see it. Okay, so I include that. And then if you want to add a link, if you want to add a web link, a file, whatever, if you realize right here, oh, I need to create something, maybe you have constructed response instructions. When you're responding to this question, make sure you remember our constructed response steps. Say what you think, give your reasons, support your reasons with evidence. Those are the kind of files that you can add here to support them in creating their best response possible. Okay, and then I don't think I have an arrow right here. Usually I just leave it on short answer. If you wanted to use a multiple choice, you could toggle this to multiple choice. Here's a time that you could use multiple choice. For each week, have a question. Are you done? How are you feeling about your week 1 work? And then when they finish all their assignments, they come in, I'm done with my work and it went well. I'm done with my work, but I had questions. So if you need a let me know when you're done, that might be a way you could use it. Okay. If you wanted to get opinions from people, which of these things do you think we should make sure we do next week? Give them some choices, have them let you know. Okay, so you have a multiple choice option. This is the left side of the screen where you create your question. Okay, oh, I did. On the right side, if you have more than one class, a junior high teacher with different periods, you can click there and check each period you want it to show for. You can give it points. You can also say ungraded, but this is a place to leave points. Now, I want you to think about our grading expectations right now, because it's not the typical grading expectation. We're looking at basically a 2-point rubric, if I'm understanding things correctly. Is it complete? That's a 2. Is it partially complete? That's a 1. Was it not attempted? That's a 0. Is that basically what we're going for in how we're looking at student work? So from that perspective, I can look, yes, they did it. Yes, they completed it. That's 2 points. Okay. Due date. I would right now in Google Classroom, a lot of times I say don't put a due date, because if you don't need a due date, it shows as late once that due date's passed. But we really do want our weeks wrapping up for the most part. What you're assigning this week, you want to be done this week, okay? And if it's not done this week and they're going to do it next week, I kind of want them to know this is late. You were supposed to finish it last week. So maybe it makes sense to have this due Friday of the week you're on, okay? And then we've talked about the topics and how it's helpful to have your topics by distance learning week, however you want to label those. Okay, so this is how I would set up this information. Now, down here, this is where you tell, do I want them to be able to reply to each other? Do I want them to be able to edit their answer? Okay, you decide what makes sense for the question you're using, but this is where you have those options. Okay, now up here, here's where you can choose your students. This is really good. This is really helpful for differentiating. Assign a question to specific students. If you have students who need some extension work, they're really ready to go above and beyond, make a question, give them some work just for them. Do you have some students who need some extra support? Okay, give them a specific question. So you can choose students here. Either check them all or just check the ones you want this question to go to. Okay, and then in this one, if you click here, it's going to ask it immediately. If you post the arrow, you'll have, do you want to schedule this for later? Do you want to save it as a draft? Okay, or post it right now. All right, so you can work ahead and start saving as drafts. You can schedule things to post on certain days. And there you go. All right, so here's the whole thing. You can see here's where you include your information. Here's where you set up exactly where you want the question to show. Okay, that's all there is to creating a question post. There aren't a whole lot of confusing options. You just ask your question, set up your information over here, and you're ready to go. Okay, are there any questions about just creating the question post?
Is that screen, is the screen that you're showing, is the screen shown at the same time as the question?
Yes. Here, let me come here. If I go to create question, this is what I'm going to see. It's got the whole thing that I set up all at once.
Okay, and I think this might be along with that. Someone asked, where do the students go to see the question?
Oh, we'll get to that for sure.
Okay, and that's it on this topic.
Okay, now helping students answer the question. You've set it up, you've got it already there. Now the students need to go in and answer the question. Okay, so let's take a look at what the student sees. This is how it looks on a Chromebook. And I have the little Chromebook guy up here to remind us which device we're looking at. Okay, they go into the class, they go to stream, and in the stream, they see a whole list of things down here. Okay, the other way they could do it is to go into classwork. Classwork is a more organized view of your work. They're going to click to open the question. Okay, now I know you're wondering, I was, why is this one dark gray and this one's light gray? There's nothing to turn in here. Okay, after they've turned in this one and submitted it, it's going to turn light gray too. So looking at that week, you can see the light gray is done, the dark gray still needs to be done. Or maybe you have a different color, but the darker color and the lighter color show what do you still need to work on. Okay, also, someone asked me earlier how you arrange the topics. This 3-dot menu, I didn't think there was a way, and then I learned, yes, there is. This 3-dot menu, you can move a topic up or down, so you can order your topics the way you need to. Okay, so anyway, students are in the classwork tab. They're gonna click their question, open it, and they're gonna see this. Okay, it's gonna actually extend down below, but they just click view question. Okay, this is pretty, let's think, classwork, click on the question, you're gonna see this, they're gonna click view question, and then they're gonna see this, okay? Here's what this screen has. It has the directions, and then we want to think, type your answer right below. If you do this, it's gonna post as a class comment on that post in the stream, That's why class comment. So we want to be careful. Don't post in the class comment. Your answer goes over here. Okay, so students come over here, they type their answer. This answer box, it keeps getting longer. As they type, it extends. So it's not like one of those where the text wraps and you can't see it all. This will just keep getting longer so they can see their answer. Okay, so the student answers over here and then they click turn in. If you want to respond, you've got your private comments right here. And then they reply in private comments and back and forth, okay? So the response stuff is over here, all right? That's how it looks on a Chromebook. Now on an iPad, same kind of thing in the stream, the student sees the question, or they can go to classwork and they'll see topics and they'll see their question. This is very similar, okay? On an iPad, this is what the screen looks like. I think this is a little more clear. You've got your instructions. They type their answer below. When they've finished typing their answer, they click turn in. Okay, any comment you reply is going to show in private comments. If they want to add a class comment, they would have to go up here and click add class comment. So that's what it looks like for a student to add a question. Now, Zoom Risk, let's go try it. Open a new tab, go to classroom.com or classroom.google.com or the app if you're on an iPad, or if you have two devices, use a different device, whatever. Join this class. This is my Tech Training Center class. There are more posts in here than just the ones for today, but I want you to go join this class. And then I want you to find the question. There are actually 2 questions in the week 1 topic. You can answer both of them. Okay, you do not have to give me super lengthy, deep responses. You can give me, I don't know, and that's fine. I just want you to practice the procedure from a student perspective of how to respond to a question. All right, so go do that. If you have some questions, put them in the chat, and I'll give you about 5 minutes to go check this out.
Liz, we have a request for you to repeat how to go to the practice, please. Can you please repeat those instructions?
Sure. Go to classroom.google.com, and then where you might have gone to create a class, you're going to go to join a class and enter this code. So classroom.google.com, or open the Classroom app, go to the plus sign to join and enter this code. Okay, it's going to look like this when you're signed in as a student. You'll go to classwork and you've got 2 questions in week 1.
Okay. Liz, let me know when you're ready for questions.
Go ahead.
There's a question about color coding questions and responses. Is that a possibility?
I don't think so.
If you want all the students to see each other's comments, do you use the class comment?
If you want everyone to see each other's comments, I'm going back. You would check this box right here. Students can reply to each other.
Is there a way to see a student view to show students how to access certain Google Classroom features?
No. And there have been some teachers asking for a sample student. That's not something that we can, from the tech department, do to make fake students for everyone. But you have student sign-in information, and there's no reason you can't sign in as one of your students, show how to do this work if you need to do that. So you technically have a sample student in one of your real students. I would just drop them a, hey, I'm using your account for to make this video. Okay, they're district accounts. You're not going into their personal space or anything. You are able to sign in as their account and show exactly what it looks like if you need to. Yeah, so just to make sure I was clear there, creating fake students for each teacher to have a sample, that's not a thing we can do in Google. That's not anything we're going to be doing. Okay, so I want to show you in the teacher view. Okay, and this is the class as a teacher. I see, hang on, I want to collapse that. I'm not going to collapse it. I see my 2 questions here. Okay, when I click on it, I can see 15 people have responded. There are 12 more that it's assigned to who didn't respond. Okay, when I click, this was a multiple choice, and I can see what my answers are. When I click here, 6 people have turned it in. It was assigned to 21. So this will tell me how many people have turned it in. Okay, so everyone, I'm going to stop, come back to your Zoom window. Even if you haven't replied, that's just fine. I have a couple responses so I can show you what it's going to look like from your end. Okay, this class is always open. And you probably noticed, not only do I have things for today, I've got sample questions, sample assignments. You can go in here, finish whatever you want. It's just me and Whinimi teachers. Okay, so play in here to explore however you would like to. After today's training, or maybe in a week or 2, I'm probably going to move these into examples for questions, just so you can see some examples. Okay, but I'm hoping everyone's back in our Zoom window to be able to see how this looks for teachers. Okay, so our next step, I think we've gotten some questions. Go ahead and keep adding your questions and we'll come back to them in a little bit. The next step is seeing how students responded, giving them comments and a score if you need to. Okay, comments being much more of a priority right now. Whoa, sorry, hang on. Much more of a priority right now than the score. Okay, so when you are in the teacher view, in your stream, you can see the question, or in classwork, you see the ideas right here, the questions. Okay, I was telling you earlier about the 3-dot menu. In that 3-dot, you can rename the topic, you can delete the topic, you can copy a link to the topic. So if you needed to, for some reason not in classroom, tell students all your work is in week 1, check here, you can get a link for that. Okay, the same is true for these assignments. The 3-dot menu, you can get a link. Okay, and then you can move the topics up and down. All right, so anyways, I'm in the question. Now, I mentioned here, you can see who's turned it in. You can click anywhere in here. You can click view question and it's going to open it up, but this is really hard to see screenshots, so I'm going to go live. So we're in classwork. I see my question, and then when I click, I can see I already told you who turned it in. Oh, I might have said something wrong, you guys. Oh, there it is. Copy link. Okay, so there's where you can get a link to the specific task if you ever need it. Okay, I'm going to go to view question. Now this is the short answer, and here's what I see. All right, over here, I can see all students. I can see who's turned it in, who it's been assigned to, but hasn't turned it in yet. Okay, I can see the answers right here to go through. Okay, I can also click just on one person and see their response. Okay, but if I go to all students, this is so easy. Okay, and then I can reply, I'm sorry for the lack of depth in my responses here. If these were my students, I would spend much more time, but you get the idea. Okay. So you can just go through and reply. Now I can also, okay, that's 2, that's a 2, that's a 2, that's a 2. Okay, so you get the idea here. Now, anyone can come back and reply. This can become the conversation. I'm going to go through now to let you know I can return. Do you see how the turned in are checked? Okay, so what did I just do? I went to the responses. I left feedback. I gave them a score. okay? And then I'm going to return them so that these people who turned it in will get a notification that their score's been recorded, okay? And then they'll know to come check for a private comment. If I wanted to leave a private comment for the whole group, maybe you have a next step, maybe you have some feedback, maybe you have something you want them to double check, I can return the whole thing. That comment's going to go to everyone. Okay, now I have the people who are who it was assigned to. Down at the bottom, I have the people who were graded. All right, if you're wondering, how do you know if someone replies to the comment? I don't have a specific answer to that right this second. Can someone that was graded, can you send me a reply and we'll see how I find out? Okay, so I go to the question. Hang on. I'm in the question. Okay, do you see what happened here? And I'm so glad you did this, Eva. This went into the class comments instead of the private comment. I'm going to ask Eva or the student, copy and paste that into the response. Okay, so that would need to go student view. That needs to go over here instead of here so that I see it. So thank you so much for an example of that. I don't see the class comments in the grading. Do you see the difference? Is everyone going to get this right the first time? Definitely not. Okay, so what you can do, come back to the question, reply, thanks, Eva. Can you post that in the, what is it called? I'm going to assume Chromebook. Okay, do you get the idea here? So really, the first time you use a question, you want it to be something that you're okay with playing with, learning about how to get it posted in the right place, learning how to give the feedback, enter the scores. Okay, I'm noticing that I use hey. Oh, that's the response. Yes.
A couple people weren't able to get to your classroom. Instead, they were directed to go to a math class that you had set up. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Here's the code. They might already have the math class from our buyback day. But if you go to the plus sign and join, you're going to use this code and that'll take you to this class. Okay, but really that's okay. If you didn't get into the class in the beginning, I just needed some responses to be able to show you the question and then going in to see. Okay, oh, hey, that's interesting. I can see now that I graded 6. I have a new one turned in so that I know to go check that one. Okay, hey, perfect, Eva, thank you. So now, I can grade her. See how that works? And then I'm going to return it. Okay, do you have to go through and do this one by one as they're turned in? No. Do this once a day. Do this once every few days. Go in. You are not at the instant response mercy unless it's something that you need to be. But generally, pace your work. We don't need to feel like we are always having to be right there. Okay, that's a sure way to burn out before we get through our 9 weeks. All right, so that's the short answer question. Now let's take a look. This was our multiple choice. When I view the question, okay, I can see the basic thank you to the person who likes penguins and toast. Okay, I can see, okay, this is Elisa's response. I can go through each person and see, as soon as I put a grade, do you see how this automatically check marks? Okay, we get the idea here? And then you would return. And you can leave a comment if you need to, but there's the gist of the multiple choice. Okay, again, your private comment is down here because the idea is that feedback in that conversation. Okay, so that's how I'm in my class, I go to classwork, I have my questions, that's how I go into the question and I respond to the question. Okay, Helen, do we have questions?
Yes, we do, Liz. It's very funny on the private chat line today. Can you send, might make the blooper reel. Can you send Brain Pop through Google Classroom?
Yes. Okay, so what you might consider doing if you want to use a question, in your question when you're putting it together, watch this video, do these activities, whatever you want them to do, give your Brain Pop information, and then make your question prompt, what's something new you learned about whatever your topic is. Okay, you might give them, your final step is to come back to this question and to give an answer to it.
Okay, and we had someone that put one too many S's on the word as, and she's asking if she can edit a comment after it's been submitted.
Okay, so let's see, from a student side, unless you set up that the student can edit, the answer is no, they can't edit, and you can't edit their response. Can you edit your own response? Yes. Okay, other questions?
No, I think that was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, now I told you we would come back to the see your classmate responses. You can see as soon as I typed a response to this, I get the see classmate answers and I can see what the rest of the class answered. I also have a tab right here so I can see classmate answers. Okay, and then I can reply to any of them. And the teacher, just like we talked about in session 1, the teacher can always delete. The teacher can always mute a student if they repeatedly don't use the replies appropriately. You have your comment moderation tools there. All right. If you feel like you are having a significant behavior problem, the solution for that behavior problem doesn't lie in the tech department. We're not going to be eliminating anyone's access to Google. That would be a discussion you would have with your administration, how you want to handle that kind of a behavior problem. If they're not behaving the way they should, no different than if they were making inappropriate comments out loud in class. All right, but we're not in a place right now where we can remove people's Google access, but you can mute them. Okay, so there's classmate answers. All right, I don't think I have anything else I want to show you specific to the question. All right, what I want you to do, hang on, I'm gonna get back to the bonus material. What I want you to do, our next session is on Thursday, and we're gonna talk about the Google assignment. Post a question, seriously, think of a silly question. Let them just practice. I want you to understand how to respond to a question post. Know the difference between your answer and class comments, okay? Tell your students what's the difference. You have to submit your answer in your answer. Have them try a short answer, have them try multiple choice, schedule some. You can get these set up for next week ahead of time. I would, well anyways, set them up ahead of time if you want to schedule, but challenge yourself to try the question a couple times this week and have students responding in Google Classroom to the question, okay? Now, my bonus material. The first thing I was thinking of is you get classroom notifications and they can become really annoying, okay? If you are getting a bunch of emails for classroom notifications, watch this YouTube video. It's kind of funny because I made it 2 years ago when we switched over to Gmail. And so watching myself 2 years ago wasn't necessarily an enjoyable thing, but the idea is a good one. You can filter those notifications and get them to not even hit your inbox. And this video is going to show you how, okay? Again, these slides posted in the posted in the mission control site, but I don't know that I added this page because I just thought about this 15 minutes before we started. So stand by because I'll add it after. All right. But that's a helpful one for any notifications you get that irritate you. Okay. The other thing I was going to talk about today was practicing with Google Docs and Google Slides. The idea of putting together screenshot slides for that kind of overwhelmed me. So I didn't do it. So what I want before session 3, when we talk about assignments, I want you to make sure that you've made a doc, are familiar with the menu in docs. Some of you are like, piece of cake, no problem. Some of you think I just use Microsoft Word all the time. Go in and try a Google Doc if it's not something you're familiar with, just so you have some background information with that, because assignments often use Google Docs or Google Slides. So you want to make sure you're familiar with that. Okay, so there's my bonus material for today. Help yourself get rid of the classroom notifications if they're too many. Practice with docs and slides before Thursday if you're coming on Thursday. Assignments are going to be one of the best things. When there was a question before we started about how to manage all the what's turned in, what's not turned in, the questions where you can see teacher view, hang on, classwork, where you can see who's turned in, what's assigned, what's been graded already, super helpful. The assignment is where they're going to attach something that they're turning in. So the question gets turned in, but the text is just in the question and in the classroom. The assignment is when they're turning in something else. And it might be a Google Doc, it might be Google Slides, it might be a picture of something, but it's where there's a file that they need to turn in. So that's what we're going to talk about in assignments on Thursday. Okay, so your goals, to try questions. And then that is the information I have for you today. Helen, are there any more questions we want to talk about?
Did you talk about how to mute a student?
Yes.
Okay. Now, is Google Slides one of the Google apps that are already
Definitely yes, on iPads. Yes.
How do we make those super cute Liz Hoppy Google Slides?
Right down here.
I added some stuff to that, but
that's fine. I appreciate that. Thank you for knowing what my heart needs, Helen. Slides, oh, stop it, little Google slide pop up. Hang on, I'm not going to point. Slidesmania.com. Down at the bottom, slidesmania.com. It's a site, and she makes templates. It's one person. I think she works in accounting in her real job, and so making Google Slides templates are her like creative release, and she just makes a ton of templates, and they're super cute. What it does, you go to it, you choose the one, you hang on, now I have to just show you. This is bonus material that won't make the recording, you guys. I'll cut this out because it'll get too long. Okay, I come in here. I like the fun ones. She's made these choice board ones are specific for distance learning that she just did for teachers. You choose the one you like. If you're feeling unicorns and rainbows, here you go. Okay, and then just coming down here, you can preview it. There we go. That's what I want. Okay.
Dave Castellano, I want you to use the unicorn one for your Friday presentation.
For sure, for sure.
Last night she made a special Saved by the Bell edition slide.
What?
The Slides Mania. I think she's having trouble sleeping.
Probably. Yeah. Do you follow her on Twitter?
Yes.
Does she? So you just click that Google Slide theme. It basically opens up a Google Slide, and then you make a copy of it, and you can edit it however you want. Okay. So those are all right there. All right. Any other questions? I love talking about her templates because they're very good. Slides Carnival is another one. Slidescarnival.com, more templates. Now all my secrets are revealed. Everyone will have cute ones. I'm not unique.
The magic is gone.
Okay. I think I got to the questions at the beginning that I said we would get to. I will tell you, if you're I don't know if we have any TK kinder first grade on here.
We do.
with the way we're sending all of the devices home, we're loading the smallest amount of apps that we can to still get everything you need, so that it doesn't, when we've got all of them in the cafeteria, it doesn't overwhelm the Wi-Fi and take forever for them to load, because this is a pretty gigantic undertaking. You may need to direct your parents to self-service to add some things if they don't have what you need. Just go into self-service and install, and they'll install at home, because every teacher has a different set of apps that they like to use. So be familiar with telling your teacher or your parents how to use self-service on those iPads. But I think classroom docs and slides are automatically there. All right. Any other? We're good? All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for being a teacher that's learning new things. Please remember that growth mindset this week. Don't be hard on yourself. Be good to yourself, and be encouraged as you're learning new things. All right?
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Liz.
All
You were
right.
wonderful as
Thanks,
usual.
everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.